Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. I am very, very happy to be here back in Bengaluru on this virtual visit and be with many devotees whom I have known for very, very long time. I am pleased to be here, and I hope to be able to get your association today and remember Krishna more intensely by discussion of certain very deep understanding of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I actually happen to see that the topic chosen for me is about the Gopis and vices. That was a little interesting and also a little surprising. Although I'm not particularly an expert in speaking on these very high-class Gopi Bhava, etc., etc., I'm going to try to do justice to this from the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam and from what I've heard and understood in my own simple way. But it's very interesting that it's got to do with the pastimes of the Gopis and the great devotion of the Gopis. Obviously, for all of us who have association with Prabhupada's books, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are all immediately reminded, as soon as we think of the Gopis, we think immediately of Rasa Leela. We think immediately of a few pastimes with the Gopis. The pastimes of the Gopis with Krishna, the pastimes of Radharani with Krishna, are actually the quintessence of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Although to the ordinary eye, it is not immediately visible so. Actually, the whole Bhagavatam is very nicely encapsulating, covering that main essence of the Bhagavatam. It is actually Lord Chaitanya who came to explain that the Bhagavatam is really speaking about the high class worship and devotion of the Gopis for Krishna. In fact, that is the essence of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is a very esoteric topic, not even spoken by Shukadeva Goswami much, because he did not even want to open his mouth and say Radharani with his mouth. Anayaradhito, he used the word. Out of all those who worshipping Krishna in this particular way, out of all the Gopis, there was one Gopi who was extremely special. And that he indicated is Radharani. With such much care, Shukadeva Goswami did not want to even mention the name of Radharani, found himself unqualified to speak about. What to speak about me sitting here and talking to you about Radharani and the Gopis so freely? It's definitely something uh, that we should not be doing actually. But then coming back to the fact I mentioned that the Bhagavatam was so brilliantly brought out by Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, who is that same person who reciprocated with the Gopis in that amazingly special way. And he himself has come and he's expounding the Bhagavatam and its beautiful essence. And he's the one who made Radharani known to everybody in this world. He made pure devotion known to everybody. He made everybody know about the high class, top class bhakti in Madhurya Rasa, Shringara Rasa, practiced by Radharani and the Gopis. So it will be worthwhile for us to take a peek into it, however unqualified we may be, so that we know the entire gamut of devotional levels that can exist and persist. And we can find our coordinates, if at all, in this particular whole graphic description in the Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam is like depicting, if you depict it in a graph, you can depict it the whole huge X and Y axis, positive and negative sides. The 0, 0 coordinate is Brahman realization. Below that is all types of different types of yogas of the yoga ladder climbing up. And below that also is complete uncivilized mode, the Vikarmis practicing and the demons practicing, etc. And it comes up to the point of liberation is just about clearing matter, 0, 0 coordinate. And above that 0, 0 coordinate going up the plus Y axis is various levels of devotion from Shanta, neutral stages after liberation, and right up to the stage of Madhurya Rasa, and many different shades of them. So the gopis are in the topmost portion of that graph, the height of it, because you will see that the love that they practice was so superior that Krishna finally told them, Na paraye aham. I cannot give you anything greater than what you already have, your pure devotion to me in this highest form of prema rasa. So I cannot give you anything more than that, so be satisfied with that. So Krishna in one sense was defeated in being unable to repay the gopis for their devotion. Such was the devotion of the gopis. So you can see this entire range in the Bhagavatam. You can see demons described, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, etc., and their type of rasa against the Lord. And there is description of, Mayavadis, impersonalists, even impersonalists like Shukadeva Goswami, Sanat Kumaras, Navayogendras, and all of them who were Brahman realized. And from there onwards, their devotional, height, and then along with that, great devotees like the Pandavas, like Prahlad, and name it, and all of the avatars and all of them together, right up to the top, gopis. So today we are trying to touch that portion. I personally feel very unqualified. I can only do some cut and paste. We can speak in different ways. Nowadays, you can cut and paste from anywhere and everywhere. Information is available all over. And we know that if you have a little bit of the slate of the tongue, if you've got a little bit of the gift of the gab, then if you're given information, you can speak very impressively. And all over YouTube and all over the internet and everywhere, you can see people speaking from all walks of life in all languages on all topics and anything under the sun, including reproductive characteristics of two scorpions in Siberia, if need be, right up to gopis' devotion. You can hear everything, but we know that cutting and pasting is easy, but actually feeling from the heart And being in that position of devotion and speaking is what really makes the impact. But however, I'm just stretching myself from the purports of Prabhupada and other great personalities. I am trying to speak a few words apt for this occasion. Gopis' devotion and the wise, like I mentioned, immediately makes us think of Rasa Leela. I want to quote a conversation of Prabhupada wherein a husband and wife, I think they were life patron members or donors or somewhere in Bombay or Gujarat, they came to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave them audience. And they, as we came to speak to you, we want to hear Rasa Leela. Prabhupada completely avoided the question and started asking, who are you? Where are you working? What's your business? How many children you have? What are they doing? How is life? And he started joking with them, everything. And they intervened again and said, but actually we came to hear Rasa Leela from you. Prabhupada said, I don't know anything about the Rasa Leela. And then continued again speaking about everything else, engaging them in conversation. But these two had an agenda. So after some time again they asked, no, actually Swamiji, we came to hear from you Rasa Leela. At that point Prabhupada got angry, got disturbed. So I don't know anything about Rasa Leela. He said this and left. Today we're talking about Rasa Leela. But in the same purports and the brilliant analysis that Prabhupada did on Rasa Leela in the Krishna book, he writes that those people who are willing or wanting to get rid of their lust should read the Rasa Leela and understand it. So maybe on that platform, we can all get together. I don't know about all of you, at least me, in the point of trying to be free from these inconsistencies in our heart. And we can purify ourselves from this great pastime of the Rasa Leela. And then we can briefly discuss vis-a-vis how that compares with our problems, our difficulties, vices, etc. I don't think it's very wise to speak about vice to Vaishnavas, but Vaishnavas are all pure. They are free from vice. In fact, they are so wise that they are free from vice because they've taken a decision to actually become free from all these vices and focus on Krishna. And if incidentally they were engaged in something, Krishna is mentioned, it's not their intention. Their determination is already fixed. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigachati kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee is always superior because he chants my name, he worships me, he reads the Bhagavad, he takes prasadam, he associates with like-minded devotees. And since he is constantly engaged like that, he will never fail. He will never fail, even though it apparently seems he has had a failure. So having said this, let's make a little foray into understanding the beautiful pastime of Rasa Leela, and from that derive something about the greatness of the Gopis. See, actually the Rasa Leela begins in the situation where the Gopis are worshipping Katyayani. Katyayani Vrata they take. And early in the morning, in the freezing cold, they would take their bath in the Yamuna and they would make a mud small form of Katyayani and they would worship Katyayani with great austerity and make offerings to Katyayani. Krishna, of course, the Gopis were all not even 8 years old then, 7 years to 8 years. And Krishna, of course, teased them. He said all sorts of things to them when they were doing this vrata. He said that, why don't you marry me? And in some other places, he also asked that I curse you. You know, if you don't give me the offerings, you will get old haggards as your husbands. In this way, there's known that he also teased them. At the same time, he also visited them when their austerities were being performed and they were taking bath. He actually stole all their garments. And then he demanded that all of them come one by one in their naked forms and pay obeisances to him. And, you know, he wanted to see them in that way. And they had an argument with him, how can you be like this? But deeply internally, they were actually wanting it. They wanted association with Krishna in his conjugal mode. So the gopis were totally surrendered to Krishna, totally enamored, fully absorbed in Krishna. That's why Radharani is called Krishna Mahi, made out of Krishna consciousness, always thinking of Krishna, completely absorbed. So in this situation, Krishna, he stole the garments and they all came and did whatever he asked because they were totally surrendered to him. He was so pleased with a very simple, childlike, pure expression of love made by the gopis to him because they were totally surrendered to him. He was so happy that he told them, in the coming nights, my dear gopis, you are so pure-hearted and I'm so pleased with you. So in the coming nights, I will personally dance with you. I will personally give you my association. Because this is what they wanted. They wanted to deeply internally have the physical association of Krishna in order to satisfy their lusts, it is mentioned. But whether they were really lusty, because for want of a better word in English, we use the word lust or kama. So Krishna promised them that I will dance with you. And he had determined, they are so purely dedicated to me, I must reward them with the highest possible reward that is within me. That is my own physical association. That is why from the bank of the Yamuna, Mamshivat, he blew the flute, a beautiful full moon night in the Sharad season. He blew the flute, and the flute was so wonderfully tempting. The sound of the flute is described, and it went and plundered the ears of the gopis. And Krishna's beautiful form and his flute was immediately imagined by them. As soon as they thought about Krishna, his beautiful form, the Lord of their heart, the Lord, everything for them, they dropped whatever they were doing. Some of them were milking cows, some of them were feeding their kids, some of them were cooking, some of them were tending to their husbands. Whatever they were doing, they instantly stopped because they were stunned hearing the sound of the flute. It was a sign, there, Krishna is calling us. It is so mesmerizing. So mesmerizing, it's mentioned that they tumbled across, they somersaulted, they fell over each other, and they ran to the forest in whatever way they were. They didn't even bother to change their dress. Trying to change their dress, and they couldn't even wait to change their dress. Some of them had their undergarments above and they had their upper garments below, it's mentioned. They just didn't see anything. They just ran. They were not able to control themselves. Such was their attraction for Krishna. Nivikashaya patiyage graha karma karaya tyage. It is mentioned when they heard the flute sound, their undergarments loosened and fell down in front of their husbands. And the husband was stunned, watching what's happening to you. And they were so stunned. This was the effect of the flute. They ran to the forest. And it was an amazing night with the full bloom of the full moon. And Krishna was standing there on the bank of the Yamuna, glistening with this beautiful dark complexion. In the moonlight, he was glistening. And there was a Yamuna. And there was wonderful scenery in the night. It seems the lotuses had all blossomed. In the Sharad season, in the night, lotuses never blossom. The night they're closed. At sunset, they close, and sunrise, they open. But even the lotuses in Vrindavan opened up as Krishna is going to perform the Rasa Leela. And the gopis arrived there. Amazing things happened. The moon was in full bloom and the lotuses blossomed. Malati flowers were giving fragrance. All sorts of odd things were happening because the gopis had come running and panting, breathing heavily, and they saw Krishna. They came in huge numbers. Huge numbers they came, away from their houses, leaving their husbands. Pati Sutan Vaya, Bratir Bandhavan, Ati Vilangyate, Anti Achyuta Gatha. Pati Suta Anvaya, Bratir Bandhavan. All these things we gave up and came running to you. They broke all moral, ethical codes and they came to Krishna in the forest, panting, breathing heavily, anxious, eager to take Krishna's association, to see him, feast their eyes on him. It was a festival to see Krishna's beautiful face. See, it was a festival. Nityotsava, Nityotsavam, a constant festival for their eyes. So they came and stood there, and Krishna, it is mentioned, was very pleased seeing them. How they had run and come by his blowing of the flute. They knew they couldn't resist him. But he knew they had come with the expectation of having a lusty association with Krishna. From the depths of their hearts, they wanted it. But externally, they were acting very decent and very nice. So Krishna said, "Oh, Gopi, so wonderful. You have all come to see me in the middle of the night. It's so nice to see you. I think you came to pluck these lotuses. Please pluck them and get back fast. I am a brahmachari." Right? Krishna brahmachari, mentioned in the Gopalatapani Upanishad. He is a Paka brahmachari. He said, "I'm a brahmachari, and to meet with married women in the middle of the forest is not at all nice for a brahmachari. But I understand that you have unalloyed devotion to me, and you have come to see me in the middle of the forest, and you have followed my flute and you have come. But it is okay, it's better for you to go back and be with your husbands. You must not break these moral, ethical, religious codes. However your husbands may be, even though they may not be looking very good, even though they may not be good husbands, Dharma says you must never give up your husbands. You must go back." He gave a whole lecture on Varnashrama Dharma, Grihastha life, Patni Dharma, everything, and told them, please go back. He was purposely doing it. He was speaking so wonderfully. It is mentioned that he was very good at speaking to the gopis, and the gopis were completely taken over. They came with a great expectation. All Krishna, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other acharyas mentioned, Krishna wanted to tell me the real reason why you came. I want you to open your mouth and tell me the real reason why you came. Then only shall I acknowledge your desire. So therefore he was teasing them, saying, "Oh, this is what you came for plucking lotuses, please take them and go back." So he was also being very external. But the gopis, they did not know how to express it. So they were so shocked and so disappointed by Krishna's statement that he was speaking dharma, he was speaking varnashrama, and they did not know what to do. Their lips all became dry, their mouth became dry, and their face became morose, and they started shedding tears, and they couldn't control themselves because they were young girls, 8 years old, and they couldn't control themselves. They were shedding tears, looking down, and with their feet, they were drawing with their big toes, things, unable to express themselves. And then after hearing this, they all of a sudden got so angry, and they said, "Why are you so brash? Why are you so brutish? Why don't you express yourself in love to us? We don't know anybody. Who cares for husbands, children? Who are they, by the way? Who are they to us? You are the husband of us, right? There is no better husband than you. And they started expressing themselves out of anger. It came out. We came because we don't know anybody else but you. We can't forget you. Every moment we are absorbed in you. Your beautiful form, your beautiful face. We have come to see and enjoy. They openly said it for the first time. Then Krishna became pleased. Then he became pleased with them. And then he engaged them in the famed Rasa Leela dance. And this is no ordinary dance. It is not break dance, it's not kuchipudi, it's not Bharatanatyam, it is not any of the things that we know about. The word dance takes on a completely different dimension here in Rasa Leela. Because the dance lasted for one night of Brahma. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. One night of Brahma is equal to one day, 12-hour day of Brahma. One kalpa. 1,000 Chaturyugas. Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. 1,000 times like that. Dance the whole night of Brahma. Can you believe it? How long was the dance? And there was no sunrise, sunset that to be bothered about. It is just that if Krishna desires to enjoy, and if he desires to give the gopis the greatest of enjoyments, it's his desire that matters. Everything else becomes subordinate to his desire. Yogamaya starts arranging everything. So they danced massive period. You can't even imagine what to speak of trying to imitate it foolishly, like a stupid idiot that many people do. Because they don't understand what is happening. So he danced with them. He did amazing things with them. He expanded himself. And there were concentric rings of gopis. There were millions of gopis. You know, the gopis are of various types. There are Nitya Siddha gopis and there are Sadhaka gopis. Nitya Siddhas are those who are eternally with Krishna. And then there is Sadhaka gopis. There are two types. In one of them, there is the Shrutichari gopis and the Rishichari gopis. The Shrutichari gopis are the Vedas personified who glorified Krishna in the Bhagavatam. Out of their desire, Krishna granted them and they became gopis. They took birth in the wombs of the gopis in Vrindavana and they got the association of the gopis and gradually they became oriented devotionally in this way in Premarasa. Then there is the Rishichari gopis, those who met Lord Ramachandra in the Dandakaranya forest and desired to have his association. And the Lord said, I am Ekapati Vrata, Ekapatni Vrata now. And when I appear as Krishna, you can join me. And this way all those rishis also joined. Then there were Kanya gopis. There were demigods taken birth in the wombs. And they were Devakanyas. There were various 4 different types of gopis. And there were millions of them. Those who were the Nityasiddha gopis were in the center. And the 108 gopis were right in the core. Around that were the Nityasiddha gopis, which were like, lakhs of them. Then around them there were other. So there were millions of gopis in the rasa dance, concentric circles. So that, like I mentioned to you, it's not an ordinary dance that we perform on Janmashtami Day. All our kids get together and perform, or we see somewhere here and there in clips and movies. It's unimaginable. The number, the period, the duration is unimaginable because the exchange of love is also unimaginable. And the desire of Krishna is also unimaginable. And the desire of the gopis also can be understood only by Krishna. So Krishna enacted this beautiful pastime, which is the centerpiece of the whole Bhagavad, because of the deep import it carries. Right? So in the center were these ring of 108 principal gopis, and Krishna expanded himself. He was with every gopi. With every gopi, he gave personal association. And each one of them thought, only with me? Each one of them thought like that. He danced around with them. He embraced each one of them. He kissed each one of them. He touched their bodily parts. He exchanged tambula that he was chewing with them while kissing them. All sorts of intimate things he did as a reward for their devotion. The supreme absolute truth. Janmadhyasya ada anvayad itaratas charteshva abhijñaswarat. Abhijñaswarat, the supreme absolute truth. As Krishna, he was giving them this personal association. What an amazing reward. And the gopis, in their high form of madhurya rasa, prema rasa, they were intensely enjoying it. And Krishna was so happy that they were enjoying it. His personal, physical association, satisfying the lust in them. And don't think this lust is ordinary lust. It is not the karma of this world. It's very nicely described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is like the ordinary karma of this world is like iron. And what is being described here is gold. Right? When Atma Priti and Krishna Priti, the gopis were completely surrendered. They're willing to die for Krishna, to serve Krishna out of love for him. It's a very subtle point, but extremely important to know the difference between lust and prema, right? That is very nicely described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You may read that. We don't have time to go into the details here. But this is very high class experience. And the gopis, they were reveling in it, reveling so wonderfully in it. And he gave them the best of pleasures. All of a sudden he disappeared with Radharani. Then it is mentioned that the gopis were getting a little proud. Ah, Krishna is with me. So he disappeared with Radharani. And Radharani and Krishna, they went away together. And after some time, it's mentioned that Radharani, also Krishna detected, has become a little filled with pride that I alone have been picked up by Krishna. And then it is mentioned that she told Krishna, I cannot walk anymore. We've had a great dance and I'm very tired. So Krishna said, get over my shoulder. And he bent low to get over his shoulder. Just when Radharani is getting ready to get on top of Krishna's shoulder, Krishna disappeared, even from Radharani. Disappeared even from Radharani. And in this way, Radharani became very, very disturbed and morose. She said, oh, I made a very big mistake. I ran away in my thoughts. I became too familiar. I think I became proud. I lost Krishna. And the gopis here, in huge bunches and swaths of gopis, they were crying out of separation from Krishna. All of a sudden, boom, it was in the great pinnacle of association and experience, and then boom, Krishna lost. He's no more to be found. So that drop, all of a sudden, separation from Krishna was too sudden and too shocking, and they were maddened. They became mad, thinking about Krishna. That was one of the most intense meditations on Krishna that is described in the Bhagavatam. They became so intensely meditative. And they started moving around and asking anything, everything, whether have you seen Krishna? And they described Krishna. That son of Balaram, have you seen him? Did he walk by this way? Did he go this way? Have you not seen him? They asked the trees, they asked the creepers, they asked Tulasi, they asked the doe, the deer. They asked anybody and everybody. It's mentioned Unmada. They were going through madness in love. They were totally mad. They were so mad that they were even trying to imitate Krishna at one point of time. They were doing all the wonderful pastimes that he did, killing Agasura, killing Putana. Yeah, and they did all these amazing pastimes. They were imitating and they were totally absorbed. They were totally absorbed, 100% absorbed in Krishna. You see, they were in great sorrow, first of all. And Krishna had done so many amazing things to them. Uh, so, this we can understand from here the intensity of love, prema, that they had, and their absorption that they had. They had nothing else in their mind, no material contamination of any sort. Simply for Krishna. Their life is for Krishna, and they were absorbed in Krishna, and they were willing to do anything for Krishna. And because of that, Krishna had rewarded them with this association this way in the Rasa Leela. And now he disappeared. And they had completely broken down and mad because their remembrance of Krishna and their absorption in Krishna had not stopped. So it is described very wonderfully. So they came to the Tulasi, they came to the Parijata, they came to all sorts of, paraphernalia in the forest and living entities in the forest, and they started asking, have you seen Krishna? Unmotivated, it is mentioned. That is maddened. Then they started showing his pastimes. And in this way, madly they were moving around, right? Then finally they came and saw the footprints of Radharani and Krishna. And they were amazed, and they made out this as Radharani's footprint. This is Krishna's footprint. In that also there are varieties of gopis who saw differently, the right-wing gopis, the left-wing gopis. Some of them saw Radharani's footprint because they were not belonging to this Radharani's gang. They did not say anything about it, like that. So many things happened. And in this way, they made out that this is one gopi who has got the association of Krishna. And then her lotus feet prints have also disappeared, which means Krishna disappeared. I mean, from there onwards, Krishna's lotus feet has disappeared. Therefore, from her also Krishna separated himself. Then, of course, they found Radharani there. It's a beautiful pastime related in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about this. How they understood that we have to search out for Krishna, and they were moving in a madness. And then Krishna actually disappeared and assumed a four-handed form as Bhagavan, Narayana, and sat down. This place is called Paita from Govardhan. If you go for about some half an hour or 45 minutes, you can go to this place. He sat down under a tree in his four-handed form, and he thought he would fool them a little bit. So to have his own experience, he sat down, and all the gopis came there and saw Narayana and paid their obeisances and said, "Oh, Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And they paid obeisances to him, and they asked him immediately, "Have you seen Krishna anywhere?" And Narayana, who was actually Krishna there, pointed, he went this way and misled and waylaid them. They all ran in that direction. He was having his fun. But then came Radharani, and Krishna could not hold his four-handed form because of the powerful love of Radharani. It was so pure and so intense and so focused on Krishna. Krishna could not hold his position as Bhagavan. His four hands disappeared, and he again became Krishna in his two-handed form. And he had to accost Radharani. This beautiful pastime is described in Vrindavan, also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in this place called Paita, we can see that temple dedicated to this pastime there. In this way, the Rasa Leela is described. Now, coming to the point, what is it that we can learn from the Rasa Leela? Because Krishna, they did not find Krishna, and then all the gopis will come down and sit on the bank of the Yamuna and sing the famous Gopika Geetam. Jayati te dikham janmana praja Shrayata indira shashwatatrahi Dayita drishyatam dikshutavaka Tvai drishta savas tvam vichinvate. In this way, they start out of separation. They all sat down together and sang this beautiful Gopika Geetam, lamenting and at the same time chastising Krishna. Hitava Yoshita Kastyajain Nishi, you have given us up, you debauchee, you cheater, you called us to the forest, we gave up our parents, wife, husband, children, husband, everything, and you cheated us. Kitava, O cheater, reappear again. In this way, maddened with love. Krishna was secretly enjoying all these events. He had just become a prakat, was enjoying these events. And then after this, Krishna appears from within the bushes and trees, and the gopis became so relieved. And then he embraces them and he tells them, I have nothing to repay you. Your love is so great. You should be satisfied with this only. He accepts defeat in terms of reciprocating with them. So this is the greatness of the gopis' love for Krishna. I don't think we can express it so easily within a session for half an hour, 45 minutes. But however, questions and comments are no material sophistry of any type. Gopis were very, very simple. Vrindavan means simplicity, nothing materially contaminating, no material artificial sophistry involved. They were expressing their pure love, not hiding anything. They were not on Facebook showing one picture and being something else. They were just the opposite. Fully showing themselves to Krishna. This is what I am. I'm torn by love for you. I'm torn by lust for you. I'm completely head over heels in love with you. This is the spiritual world. This is the greatest gift that Lord Chaitanya came to give us. And the activities that we do in Bhakti Yoga are meant to be able to give us this highest relationship and love with Krishna. We shouldn't doubt that in any way. You see, Chirat adattam nijagupta vittam swapremna namamritam ati udara. It is mentioned that Chirad adattam, never before ever given. Nijagupta vittam. Vittam means treasure, treasury. Gupta vittam means very deep treasure. Nija means very private and confidential. It is the Supreme Lord's Nija Gupta Vittam, Swapremna, love for himself. Namamritam Ati Udaraha. In the form of the holy name, Krishna, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has come to give us this love of the gopis. If you chant the holy name offenselessly, purely, and get purified, you can quickly climb to this level of the gopis. Believe it or not, this is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is not that the offer is not open to everybody else. What I understand from the shloka is that it's open to everybody. It is just by our choice or by our own contaminations. We have not decided, not endeavored for it, not perfected it. But here are living entities, gopis, who have go for it. And they have gone through amazing amount of austerities. Vyavasayatmika buddhi, focused intelligence, and achieved it after many, 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 many lifetimes. And they are situated in that position. So, in this world, it is very difficult to explain this lofty philosophy to people. Instantly, people, like I mentioned to you about Prabhupada's Leela, instantly people will immediately want to imitate it. They don't care about God. They don't care about the gopis. They don't care about devotion. They instantly think, how can I enjoy what Krishna is enjoying? That's all they are bothered about. This is karma. They will never get to anything. They will only get to scratch the surface of this. Right? So it teaches us the opposite of lust, pure love, in simple way. Simplicity is what characterizes Vrindavan pastimes. No duplicity. Material world means full of duplicity. We can never be simple. It's very, very difficult to be simple. It's an austerity to be simple. In fact, I've concluded if we are simple, we'll get rodden over, we'll get bulldozed over, and we'll get completely smothered by all the complicated people in this world. Not worth being simple. Sometimes even with devotees, we don't want to be simple, right? We know what we go through, the influence of Kali and Maya. So we have never ever tasted that type of simplicity. But by chanting Hare Krishna, you can come to that point of simplicity and devotion to Krishna, right? Now, those people who have their own understanding of this, there are all sorts of people who give all sorts of ideas. In this world of Dvandva Mohina Bharata, dualities, we know that people will instantly become lusty. In fact, they will even say Krishna was morally wrong. Morally, ethically, religiously, socially wrong in doing this. This question is there in everybody's mind. As long as everybody is covered by material influence, as long as the three modes affect them, as long as they are bumping between good and bad, evil and good, they would never be able to understand transcendence, leave alone devotion to Krishna. So the gopis' love for Krishna has got nothing to do with good and bad and the dvandva mohas of this world. It is not a subject matter for religious discussion. It is not a subject matter for varnashrama discussion. It is not a subject matter for moral and ethical discussion. See, in this world, nowadays people are shunning religion. But they're talking about relationships, they're talking about yoga, they're talking about spirituality without religion. They want, just like Prabhupada said, they want Ram Rajya without Rama. They want pure love, they want good relationships, they want a great country and a great world. They want so many things without the Lord. How is it possible? How is it possible? So today, everything is degraded, moral relativism. They have lost a God-centered civilization. They are against religion because of the history of religion till now. And rightfully so, they have their own very good arguments. And industrialization and the economy and the type of things that we are facing with climate change, society, racism, you name it. All these things have made people very, very disturbed. So much so that I said, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in this. Whatever is good for you, you do it. They believe that morality is not one universal thing. Religion, God, and morality coming from that. Chuck it out. Morality is relative. It is based on the situation you are in. And different cultures have their own moral standards. Let them have so. I have my own moral standard. And I move with such people who have that moral standard. In this way, moral relativism has killed any foundational basis for right and wrong. They've removed the premise, removed religion, removed God, and their so-called morality has become so relative that it can shift. And you can do all sorts of nonsense. You can have sex with anybody and everybody, and you say, that's my moral value. That's of value to me in my culture. So in this type of a culture, what will they understand about Ras Leela? You need to be absolutely placed, at least theoretically understand absoluteness, understand spirituality, understand transcendence, to be able to even take a peek into some theoretical understanding. And here it says, unless you have devotion to Krishna, you'll never understand the Ras Leela. You'll never understand the Ras Leela. It's not a subject matter for you and me to talk about. For those people who say that, wow, this is very immoral what Krishna did. He danced with married women in the middle of the night. But it is so amazing that Krishna spoke the same thing. He told the gopis, oh, very bad. This is not morally, ethically correct. In the middle of the night, married women are coming and seeing a brahmachari like me. Please go back. He spoke the same moral thing. It's immoral, he said. And immediately in the next minute, he performed the Rasa Leela with them. He broke all these moral rules, which he said should be observed to the gopis. This is the irony of it. The Rasa Leela was enacted for us to understand, to hell with so-called morality, worldly morality. What to speak about moral relativistic ideas that people have these days, and they're shunning religion and values based on religion, right? So this type of a moral ethical discussion on the Rasa Leela goes very deep. First of all, you should have the capacity to be able to talk about it. Normally, people are not allowed to talk about it. In fact, sannyasis are not supposed to even talk about affairs of women or their activities. But Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Rai, they enjoyed talking about Krishna's activities with the gopis, Krishna's activities with Radharani, and their pastimes, right? So, moral and ethical look at Rasa Leela, sophistry and simplicity of this world. Sophistry in the material world, everybody is trying to put up a big show, and all that show is coming to naught now with things like the coronavirus and this pandemic that we are facing. People are made to retrospectively think what the hell has happened and what is happening and what more is going to happen. Who is doing all these things? This is because of rejecting God. This is because of not having taken cognizance of Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad-gita. It is not a place where there is anarchy. There is a person who is in charge. And if you neglect, you'll face consequences. You'll face consequences. Those are lessons we can learn. So I'll stop here because it's 9 o'clock. We can go on talking a lot, although I wanted to read out to you from the Bhagavatam. Somehow I didn't have time to even look down and look into the Bhagavatam. It's such an amazingly interesting topic. I will stop here. And if you have any queries and questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There is some query here. Shivani, how to understand the Leela of Krishna leaving Vrindavan and not returning for a long period to Vraja? Sadananda Keshava Das. Well, I am not a great commentator on such things, like I said, but I can echo what has been mentioned by Acharyas, by Prabhupada. That is mentioned that Krishna left Vraja when he was almost 11 years old. Akrura came and took him. And Krishna promised that he will come back. And it's also mentioned that Krishna came back after killing Dantavakra 125 years later. 115 years later, or something like that. He came back and he gave association to the Vrindavan Vasis. He left, it is mentioned, due to many, many reasons. Some curse, by very external reason, we don't have to discuss that. And mainly Krishna explains that he left to increase the intensity of love for the gopis and the intensity of experience of bhakti and prema rasa for the gopis. And Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, it is mentioned, number 3. Vrindavanam parityajya ekapadam na gacchanti. Krishna doesn't take one step outside of Vrindavan. It's mentioned he just became aprakat. He stopped performing visible pastimes with the gopis, but he was fully observing everything that was going on. So this is part of Krishna's pastime, his own desire to do Leela in a particular way. And Vasudeva Krishna manifested himself in Mathura, in Dwaraka, and he performed pastimes Swakiya Rasa with the 16,108 wives of Krishna in Dwaraka. And in this way, the Lord exhibited his pastimes. There are various types. Okay, I hope that helps in some way. Why Lakshmi Devi did not get a chance to participate in Ras Leela, even all sorts of gopis got such a chance. Yes, It's very amazing
Yes.
that many of these top class rasa were not available. That it's mentioned that prasade lebhire gopi yattat prapa vimuktidat nemam virincho na bhavo na shri api anga samshaya. Shri Lakshmi, although situated on the chest of the Lord, on Srivatsa, she has got that boon of being here. She never got to take part in the Ras Leela. In fact, becoming interested and being very much interested in wanting to take part in the Ras Leela, he left Vishnu and Narayana and went to perform tapasya. She performed Ghora tapasya, and the Lord appeared to her, and she said, I want to take part in the Ras Leela. He said, that's not possible. And then he gave her residence on his chest. Even she did not get as much mercy, it is mentioned, as Yashodamai got. Neither Brahma got. Shiva Virunchinutam. Neither Lord Shiva got, nor Brahma got, nor even Lakshmi got. Nasri api anga samshayaha. Prasade lebhire gopi yattat prap vimuktidat. This gopi Yashoda has got far, far greater mercy than Shiva, than Brahma, than Lakshmi. This is the meaning of pure devotion, right? So Lakshmi was found not capable of taking part in the Shringara Rasa. She was, of course, part of Swakiya Rasa, being the wives of Krishna in Dwaraka. So this way, she was limited to that type of an experience. That's why the Lakshmis, all the princes, were very, very eager to hear from Rohini when she came, all about Vrindavan Leela and all about Krishna and Balaram and the pastimes with the Gopis and everything. They were very interested in hearing. They were hankering. So this is a distinction made. Yes, Lakshmi could not take part in those pastimes. They were very, very special. Varada Krishna, do we contemplate or meditate on such a sattvic leelas, or do we participate in Sankirtan and preaching, which some acharyas say leads to highest levels? Yeah, you're right. Harinama Sankirtan, as mentioned by some acharyas, is directly that experience of Krishna with the gopis and the Rasa Leela. What we are doing in Harinama Sankirtan, like I mentioned to you, is we are purifying ourselves because we are all sadhakas. But by focusing on it, we can be led to that experience. Chirad adattam nijagupta vittam swapremna namamritam ati udaraha. Ati udaraha, extremely merciful, never before seen, because he is giving this love for himself. Swapremna namamritam is giving it freely to everybody as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That same Krishna who is giving this rasa of the highest form through the holy name. That is why the holy name is so, so important. It brings us close to this. This is the greatness of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya's conclusion and the Bhagavatam conclusion, which is mentioned so nicely. Yes, true, that we should engage ourselves in preaching this, however qualified we may be or we may be not, helping to bring other souls into Krishna consciousness, engaging them in Harinam Sankirtan, and continuously discussing Krishna Katha, right? It's not that we should not even talk about these things. The Shastra Chaitanya Charitamrita says that those things which seem controversial and difficult to understand, you must indulge in discussing it, because you will become more strong in Krishna consciousness. Don't avoid it because it's a controversy, right? That is also mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we can go up to the point of a little discussion here and there, but we may not have these high-class realizations like all the great acharyas. However, it gives us an insight into what lies ahead of us and how lofty is this philosophy of love, the yoga of love, prema, and how exciting it is to make this journey up, right up to that spot, because the way has been opened by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this way, we can become mature in our devotional service. We are not just some two-bit transcendentalists in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, in Lord Chaitanya's moment. Lord Chaitanya is offering the topmost, and we all are recipients. Have to work our way up gradually. And our acharyas have told us to engage in Harinam Sankirtan, to worship Radha and Krishna, to follow in the footsteps of the Brajavasis. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavad Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Iti Chaitanya Iti Sri Krishna Chaitanya Amritam Tatra Dharana Paraha. There is no truth about this. What is that? That the love of the gopis for Krishna is the topmost, and that is, where is its evidence? That is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there is no truth higher than this. So the highest truth is given to us in the form of Harinam Sankirtana. If we indulge in that, we will be led to that. This is the greatness of Kali Yuga. So thank you for that question again from, this is Yamini Kalyan asking, after Krishna left Radharani, what was her condition and where was she? And what happened to her? Did they meet again? Oh, that's another big thing. Radharani was lying almost lifeless, and the gopis, that is Radharani's associates, came and saw her, and then she recovered, and then Krishna came. There's a whole lot of things that go with that, and everything became all right. Radharani came back and she was serving. There is a whole description of that. I may not remember all the minute details of it. Usually during night of Brahma, Pralayam takes place. What happened at Rasalila night? What time was stopped? What happened to other living beings? At the night of Brahma, it says that everything is dormant and everybody is absorbed into Mahavishnu and they lie dormant. Pralaya takes place at the end of the day of night of Brahma, not throughout the night of Brahma. But these things don't figure. Those are all material occurrences. Let the whole world go to naught. Let there be pralaya taking place. Krishna can always dance in Rasalila. He has nothing to do with all that. He's not worried about the pralaya. He's outsourced it to the demigods to manage everything. He is smarter than all the companies who outsource things and run BPOs. He outsources all these type of regular nitty-gritty managerial activities to the demigods. They perform the regular stuff. Brahma does all that. This is happening completely transcendental to everything else. Nothing stops Krishna from enjoying. That is his main business. He just blows the flute and enjoys with the gopis and his bhaktas. That's all he does. That's why it's called Rasaraj Krishna, right? So he's not worried about pralaya and everything. They both are not at all connected. Exclusive events. The Rasalila and Krishna's desire is not in any way hindered by anything to do with pralaya. Okay? I hope that helps you. Can you give some guidelines to become simple? Well, the simple way to become simple is to simply follow the instructions of Prabhupada and Bhagavad-gita. There lies the challenge. To become simple is an effort in itself, right? Prabhupada wants us to have simple living and high thinking. In the material world, you need high thinking. You need the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. You need to understand Prabhupada's works and books and instructions. You need to definitely understand the Srimad Bhagavatam very well, deeply. The more you understand this deeply, that's what is high thinking, the more simple you will become. Simple living and high thinking are nicely wedded together in the material world. But when you finish with this material world, you'll have only simple thinking and go back to the spiritual world to perform pastimes with the Lord, like the simple gopis. Simplicity is a great wealth. To be able to see everything simply depending on Krishna and not be complicated with fears and anxieties of the material world is a great boon of pure bhakti. When a person is purely devoted to Krishna, then he can enjoy simplicity. So the more we advance in Krishna consciousness, the more we can experience simplicity, fearlessness, and all these things. I hope that helps you. Sudipta Subuddhi, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. How to have unalloyed faith in our devotional service to please Krishna. How to have unalloyed faith is to, faith comes, by association. Associating with devotees who similarly have strong faith, and reading Prabhupada's books, especially the Bhagavad, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhagavad-gita, and thinking about it deeply, deliberating on it. Vimrishetat yaseshena yatechasi tatakuru. Vimrishya means deliberating on. These are such beautiful points given in Prabhupada's books and his purports. Each one of them we can sit and discuss it for eons in terms of pure devotion. So please do that. I agree, simplicity is not so simple. We live in a very complicated atmosphere. And even within ISKCON, sometimes we have to become complicated because of many different types of situations, institutionally, socially, through relationship and everything. But that's unfortunate. But the more we become mature in devotional life, the simpler we become and greater relationships we can have. So simplicity is very important, and practicing Krishna consciousness with a focus to achieve pure devotion is very important. Don't settle for anything lesser. Don't settle for anything lesser. We should not make mixed devotional service a comfortable goal. No, we should be interested in pure devotional service. That is the thrust of the Bhagavad. It says don't settle for anything mixed. In this way, by keeping association of devotees who are interested in pure devotion, we can also further our devotion. Okay. Thank you very much. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear you. You can go ahead.
So I would like to very humbly and respectfully thank His Holiness Bhakti Vinoda Swami Maharaj. Bhakti Vinoda Swami Maharaj is one of the most outstanding, I would say, second generation leaders in ISKCON globally, acknowledged for his contributions in devotee care and outreach, coming up with new strategies for outreach programs. He's widely traveled. He's been picking up best practices from different parts of the world, putting it all together and sharing it. And various programs that he has initiated in Coimbatore have become very, what I would say, as benchmarks for taking Gita into corporates, into colleges, into different professional areas for people. I don't know how many of you are aware, Bhakti Vinod, His Holiness Bhakti Vinod Maharaj started his preaching career in the early 80s right here in Bangalore. So we are all benefiting on the foundation and pillars that these great souls have planted. I have had the good fortune of staying under shelter of his lotus feet for more than 2 decades. I am very grateful to the personal instructions, inspiring personal purity standards that he has maintained. So we wish him very well, and we hope we will be able to interact with him more often. We wish him very well. We wish him the blessings of Shri Gandharvika Giridhari, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sarva Vigna Vinashaka Bhakta Vatsal Nrsimhadev Bhagwan. Maharaj, we are grateful to you. I think a very bold decision on your part to pick up this topic and speak.
Well, I was given this topic. I just saw it this morning, by the way. Anyway.
I guess it's the hand of Giridhari that they chose you to speak. I think you very, very, what shall I say, in a very Gaudiya Vaishnava, authentic Gaudiya Vaishnava way, you presented this very sensitive, esoteric subject matter. I'm grateful to you. I'm very obliged.
Thank you. My dear Varda Krishna Prabhu, like you mentioned, I am not really so great as you put across. I'm simply a very small, complicated devotee. I want to use the word in keeping with the today's session. I am eking out my own devotional life with various other situations. True that I have a long career of remembrance in Bangalore, right from the court cases that Madhu Pandit filed from then onwards, representing in the court and having association of many devotees, and yourself after you also came out of the Hare Krishna Hill. And I have a long history in Bangalore. This is not the time to go into it. But my heart is in Bangalore and with all the devotees there whom I know for many decades.
Haribol.
Mentioned. So I am always considering it a privilege and also a duty and a responsibility from my side to be able to do something for Bangalore devotees, as I've always been doing. As and when there is any value to it, I'll be very happy to do the needful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.